On several occasions, I heard Paramahnsa Yoganandas say to assembled devotees, meditate every day more deeply than you did the day before. That's an ideal, of course, because not every day is going to be deeper than the day before. But if you sit with intention, you're more likely to have soul-satisfying meditation, perceptions, and realizations. I also heard him say, where others leave off in meditation, there I am just beginning. Indicating that some folks meditate to the stage of being peaceful and having some mental calmness and sense of well-being, and then they don't go beyond that. And he emphasized going deep, going deep. I remember on one occasion I visited him at the Self-Realization Fellowship headquarters, and this was before I was ordained, but I was assisting the minister at the Phoenix SRF Center. And now and then I facilitated the Sunday evening discussion group on the printed SRF lessons, and filled in on a Thursday night for the Thursday night service when Herbert Fried, the minister who was only a year or two my senior, was in California on church business, organizational business. And I was talking with Paramahnsa Yogananda at the headquarters one evening, and he was giving me advice on deportment and what I should do at the center. And he said, when you conduct a class or conduct a class or facilitate a meeting, he said, talk a little bit, but they will soon forget what you say. But dye them in the wool of Kriya Yoga practice. I remember his words. Dye them in the wool of Kriya Yoga practice. He said that will be transformative. That will change them. So he emphasized that every session, if there was discussion or sermon lesson, scripture reading, and evaluation of scripture, always during the session have a deep meditation. And he did that when he conducted the Sunday morning services at the various temples. For years, he divided his travel schedule between Encinitas and Los Angeles. He lectured one Sunday at the Los Angeles SRF Temple and the following Sunday at the San Diego SRF Temple. And one of his ministers would fill in the temple where he had to be absent. And his Sunday morning services, they never went from 11 to 12. They started at 11, but usually ended at 12:30, quarter to 1, and no one minded the going beyond the 12 noon time because it was so enjoyable to be in his presence. But he would come out on the platform promptly at 11, and he would say, "Everyone stand up," and everyone would stand, And then he would say, "How feels everyone?" And they were, if they were experienced, they came back with "awake and ready," "How is everyone?" "Well, awake and ready." That's how he came. Then he would say, "Pray with me," and he'd lead them in a short responsive prayer. Then he would sit down. He'd read just a few verses from the New Testament, a few verses from the Bhagavad Gita on a similar theme, talk about that for maybe 10 minutes, sit down, pick up his harmonium, put it on his lap, and lead a devotional chanting session, and encourage the folks to join in the chanting and not to listen to the sound of the voice and be concerned if they couldn't carry a tune. He said many years ago, people said that my voice sounded like a bag full of cats being shaken up. But he said it didn't bother me, so he'd crank up the harmonium and lead the chanting, "Oh God, beautiful," and in the temple of silence, or "Thou art my life," or some other and grind it out for 15 minutes. It wasn't just 2 or 3 verses of pleasant singing. I mean, it was you sitting there and you're chanting. You're really into it. Then he'd put the harmonium off to one side, and then he'd take us into meditation. After a few minutes of guidance and getting us settled into meditation, he would sit like a rock for the next 15, 20 minutes. Absolute silence. None of this little 5-minute quiet time. I mean, in-depth silence. And then he would stand and deliver his sermon lesson. By that time, it was 11:45. And he'd run to, half past 12 or so, and then someone would give the announcements, and they'd take the collection, and then he would stand up and utter his loud, mournful wail. According to the newspaper reporter. and then greet the people who came forward to see him, and then in the afternoon he had appointments lined up. Secretary Dayamata and her sister would have arranged appointments for him for people who wanted to see him, so that he wouldn't get away until 5 o'clock in the evening or so and get back to wherever he was going. But I can remember being with him when he led chanting and meditation. It was really involvement. It wasn't just superficial, gentle, this is a feel-good experience. It was really get in there and do it. And I heard him say on many occasions that your spiritual evolution can be quickened by condensing experiences through concentrated endeavor. In other words, pay attention to what is essential and what works, avoid what doesn't work, what is not essential. That's it. You pay attention to what is essential. That is intensive or concentrated practice.